everybody? Welcome to the Flock Squawk podcast, where we break down everything related to the Baltimore Ravens and the NFL in general. I am joined by my co-host, Chad Cummings. Chad, how are you doing today, sir?
Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm doing good, Ben. How about yourself?
Dude, I'm doing great. Last week, the streak that has been rolling on since 2016 continued with an absolutely dominant performance. 23-10 victory over the Tennessee Titans. We got to see, I guess, like the big story behind this game was Malik Willis. That was the stuff that was really covered in the media and how he played. I don't know. He got off to a really rough start. I'll just say that. And I guess it got better towards the end. He had that rushing touchdown that I thought, honestly, I thought Kyle Hamilton missed the tackle on that one, but we'll get into more depth with that. This isn't a Titans podcast. This is a Ravens podcast. So we're only going to talk about—
No offense, Taylor.
Yeah, no offense, Taylor. Sorry. Our buddy that runs the No Interference podcast is a huge Titans fan, so shout out to him. I don't think he really gives a shit about a preseason game.
Yeah.
I think we're the only team really in the league, because we have this streak going on right now, who like really puts any stock into winning these types of games. But a lot of interesting things came out of this one. So let's get started. I want to cover your boy. So this is your boy. You called this one. You've been talking about him for a long time, and I was actually really impressed with his performance this week. Shamar Bridges. There's been I guess besides left guard, right? I think wide receiver is probably the most contentious as far as roster spots are concerned. Sure. We're still trying to fill out our roster. Everyone has been ripping on our receiver group and how terrible it is going into the season, and after we traded Hollywood Brown, obviously. But I'll be honest with you, Shamar Bridges blew me away last weekend. Had some really great catches, had an awesome contested catch in the end zone to give the Ravens a touchdown. Had another one, a contested ball that was thrown really well. I think it was Tyler Huntley or Anthony Brown threw it. I can't remember. But he had another one on the left side. It was awesome.
Yeah. I think it was Anthony Brown.
I think it was too.
Back shoulder pass. That was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, and he went up and got all of them. Both of them were contested catches. John Harbaugh came out and really spoke highly of him and really likes the game that he's been displaying. And then we've had a bunch of cuts this week, and some of them have included wide receivers. So, like, that was a really big standout. He had 4 catches, 62 yards, and a touchdown on 5 targets.
Yeah.
He stood out to me a lot. Isaiah Likely, who's my guy, I thought that he had a really great game on Sunday. He made all of our quarterbacks look good. Mekhi Polk had a good game, 6 catches for 43 yards. All of our quarterbacks had a QBR of over 90. It's kind of hard to evaluate because you're doing base packages. I mean, it was a lot of very like simple routes that I saw in week 1, a lot of interesting coverages on defense. And I think that's just like, I think that's Mike McDonald trying to flex a little bit. We got a new defensive coordinator, so he's just trying to test out certain schemes and certain looks that he can implement throughout the season. But as far as we'll start with the offense first.
Mm-hmm.
They played awesome. Mike Davis had a rushing touchdown. He's the newest addition to our running back room that we're really excited about. Justin Tucker, who got a new extension on his deal. He's creeping up slowly to that number, Chad, by the way.
Yeah. It sounds like it'll take like another 100 years of inflation to get him up there.
Hey, the way prices have been going right now, it may be 50. It might be 50 years. You never know. Yeah, I mean, the offense looked great. I was really impressed. The backups, Tyler Huntley played well. Anthony Brown played well enough where Brett Hundley got waived this week.
Yeah.
What were some of your takeaways from this game? It was kind of awesome to watch.
Yeah, no, going into it, we talked about it. I was really excited to see our 3rd-round defensive tackle Jones play because I've heard a lot about him. I was really excited about, the competition at wide receiver, seeing a lot of the undrafted free agents. And going into the game, we were missing – I was a little upset because we were missing James Prochet. Duvernay didn't play. Slade Bolden, who is another one of the undrafted wide receivers that I'm really high on, and this little slot guy from Alabama. He didn't play. And all because of little nagging injuries. So I was a little concerned going in, like we're not going to get a good look at some of these guys. But you know, like we said, Bridges kind of stepped up big in that position, and Likely as well. Likely was catching balls left and right, and we've been talking about it forever, Ben. Like that's what we've been missing, especially in our red zone struggles last year, is that other big body that we can use opposite of Mark Andrews, whether that's a receiver or another tight end. We were hoping for a receiver, but we went and doubled down on tight end again this year in a draft, and we realized based off highlights and early minicamp that Likely was going to potentially be a guy that we can rely on in that situation. And I mean, all training camp, it's just been Likely highlights, man, catching everything. And then it was no different in his first preseason game. He was making great catches. That one catch where he stuttered, made the guy, he did his little Lamar Jackson dance, got a couple guys that breaks his ankles. He probably Coach Harbaugh said it earlier later in the press conference. He only needed to do the one. He didn't have to do 2 or 3 because he had a good opening on the side after his first cut, but he still got the first down. But that play, it was a heads up play. He got beat by the pass rush, and he went out hot and made himself available to the quarterback who was getting rushed, and he made a great catch and he made a great move and got to the first down marker. Such a wise, smart play for a younger guy. It's good to see, and he made a couple other great catches. He did have 2 holding penalties though, so he needs to learn how to block. That's a little concern, but I'm sure he's going to pick that up. We got Nick Boyle, who's a great run blocking tight ends that can coach him up, and obviously our coaching staff is really good. So I'm sure they'll get him up to speed, and he's going to be catching, 3 or 4 balls a game maybe for us. So that's really exciting. Him and Shamar Bridges really, made me excited about having that big body person outside of Andrews that, can really help us in that red zone. Mike Davis did stand out a little bit. We kind of touched on that. Our last podcast, we touched on if we're going to have JK and Gus available, and JK came off the pup and he was practicing. He didn't play obviously because he hasn't done full contact yet, but he's practicing in individual drills and stuff, and he's suiting up and cutting, and he's catching the ball. He looks really quick, looks good. So that's really exciting, and if he isn't ready for week 1, which would be a surprise at this point, Mike Davis really showed out. He had a couple good blocks. He flattened one of Tennessee's rookie defensive linemen. I don't know if you saw that highlight.
I did. Yeah, that was good.
Having that other, having a veteran there to be in place of JK and Gus until they're ready keeps our minds at ease. So, yeah, overall, man, it was cool. And the offensive line looked good. They had, I don't know if you noticed, but they kept Ben Cleveland in pretty much the whole game, it seemed like, with him being in the doghouse with the conditioning. So that was good to see him getting some reps. I heard a lot of good things about, Ben Powers was all over the place. I think they did him a little at guard and center. Juwan James, he played a lot of snaps too at right tackle. So a lot of positives from our offense for sure. What do you think?
It was funny because Rod Woodson was on the broadcast and he was talking about Isaiah Likely's holding. He said he just gets his hands up inside, right? Mm-hmm. But he didn't seem worried about it at all. He was like, that's just something that you go back to and you got to teach a new guy how to do, just so it's a little bit less obvious. So I agree with you. I thought the holding penalties were but I think that's going to work itself out before the start of the season. And we know that Mark Andrews is going to be out there. Nick Boyle, as you said. So I don't know what Isaiah Likely's role in this offense is going to be. With Charlie Kolar injured, they had him playing inside a lot more than I thought. I thought they would line him out wide a little bit more because that's really what his bread and butter was at Coastal Carolina. But with Charlie Kolar injured, I think they wanted to kind of see what he looked like on the inside, catching between the hash marks. So I thought it was great. Like I enjoyed the offensive line movement. I can't wait to see Tyler Linderbaum. I'm a Tyler Linderbaum guy. I know he's hurt. I know that they wanted to keep him out of this game, and I understand it because he had a nagging injury that he picked up that he was expected to be out for a couple weeks for. But I saw some botched snaps again with Makari at center. And that was something that I kind of talked about before we went into the draft. I was like, I would really like them to pick up a center, just a guy that's like super reliable. You don't have all of those issues. It's like having Justin Tucker as your kicker, right? In the sense that like you never have to worry about a field goal. He was perfect again, by the way. There was actually talk, Rod Woodson was talking about him right before the kickoff. He was talking about his Hall of Fame potential. And he was like, this is like the most obvious first round ballot kicker we've ever had in the league. Like if he doesn't get it on the first ballot, I don't think anybody's going to at this point. So it's sort of similar to that, where like I want my centers like that snapping stuff. But it was with Tyler Huntley. He ended up picking it up and running on the left side. I think it was for a loss, maybe of a yard, or maybe he came
I don't recall seeing that. No.
Yeah, it's just one of those like it was like a 1 yard gain or a 1 yard loss, but it kind of shows like if we just had a reliable center, those little mistakes kind of go away and then they don't affect you in a big way and then don't have a chance to fuck you later on in the season. Yeah. So it was good. I can't wait to see him basically like actually play center. I know he's got a nagging injury going on, but it would be exciting to see him. I'm with you on Slade Bolden too. Didn't get a chance to see him. It'll be interesting to see if he plays a bigger role in the Cardinals game that's coming up tomorrow. Because I'd like to see him as well. A little slot receiver out of Alabama. That'd be very interesting. And I'm taking your word now for wide receivers because you called Shamar Bridges. You're absolutely right. Huge body in the end zone that can go up and get touchdowns and convert, what with Justin Tucker, it's like a guaranteed 3 points almost, but it'd be nice to put 7 up.
Yep.
And that's something that we've sort of, we take Justin Tucker for granted a lot because it's almost an automatic 3 points. And I think anytime we get to the other side of the 50, it's sort of like, okay, we have a chance to walk away from points. And I think Ravens fans get satisfied with that a little bit, but it would be nice to see more touchdowns converted. And I think Shamar Bridges brings that. He looks great. He contested catches. Imagine that. A receiver that can go up and actually like contest for the football. It's awesome to watch. Like, and I'm not saying that Rashad Bateman can't do that because there's evidence to suggest that Rashad Bateman can do it. He did it last year pretty well. So I loved what the offense did. I think 23 points in a preseason game. I know you're playing against backups on the other side. And the other team is also trying out new players and new schemes and all of that other stuff. But it was just really great. The quarterbacks all played well. Yep. They played so well that Brett Hundley got waived this week. Anthony Brown kind of impressed me too. He took some shots down the field.
Yeah, dude.
The way he's moving the ball. It was like, that was kind of nice.
There was a lot of passes down the field along the sidelines. And a lot of great catches by our younger undrafted guys.
And it makes the competition for wide receiver a lot more interesting. We'll talk about some of the guys that got waived this week. I want to move on to the defense real quick. Yeah. Kyle Hamilton. If I had to give him a grade for this game, it's probably a B. The thing that impressed me the most about him was how much ground he covers. He covers a lot of ground really quickly, and I really like that. That is definitely something that was on display in this particular game. A lot was made about that fumble recovery.
He stole it from Dylan Hayes, and no one even gave Malik Harrison any credit for. I mean, I know it was tough to see who did it, so I can kind of see maybe. Because they're putting these highlights up quick on social media. Yeah. So you had to like really analyze because it was a bunch of bodies in one area. You couldn't really see who forced the fumble. But if you gave it a couple minutes and watched it a couple times, you could see it was Malik Harris that forced the fumble. And yeah, I mean, he's a first round pick. Probably one of the not he wasn't the highest picked defensive back, but he was one of the more obvious. He was one of the more highlighted defensive backs in the pre-draft stuff. So, they're all just trying to get clicks on social media. So it's like the first round pick Kyle Hamilton gets his first fumble recovery. So I get all that, but yeah, I mean, fumble recoveries are good, but they're less impressive. It's more impressive to get the forced fumble recovery.
Especially when you have two Ravens that could have come away with that ball too. I think everyone's making a big deal about it, and I was like, okay. I'm glad he was there, but I didn't. I thought the punch out was much more impressive.
Exactly.
He got in there, and that's something that they've been practicing in training camp. They've been trying to figure out how to convert more turnovers, and there were a lot in this game. Malik Harrison had a great game. Actually, I saw him make plays all over the field. He had the punch out. He had some tackles on the left side of the field. He was kind of all over the place. And he was a name that kept coming up, and it was a name that was kind of getting like brushed under a little bit. A lot was made, like we talked about, a lot was made about the Kyle Hamilton fumble recovery. And I'm like, all right, two other Ravens could have made that play that were there. I thought it was a pretty clear punch out. So I thought he played really well. Pepe Williams almost had a pick. That should have been, oh my gosh, dude. If he makes that pick and it's a pick six, I'm feeling really good about, I mean, I already feel pretty good about our secondary, but that was handed to him on like a silver platter. I really thought that, and if he had caught it, that's a back to the house. We get 6 points off a turnover or 7 points off a turnover because it's going in for a touchdown. That's going in for a touchdown, especially with where they were on the field. Yeah. I was like, damn, a great coverage on his part. I thought he played the ball really well. That should have been a pick. Darryl Worley got a pick. Corner, it was a bad throw. It was
underthrown in the end zone.
Yeah, and it was Logan Whiteside, right? That's their third string quarterback. The pass was not great.
No,
I'll be honest with you. But the interception, he came down with it. And he got the pick, and it was close to the end zone where he got it. So I was happy to see that. The defense, Odway didn't get a sack. I thought he would. He only played one play. So, and he dropped in that play. He dropped back in coverage. So I was like, fuck, he's not gonna go for the quarterback. But
but that's pretty. Yeah, seeing Odway dropping into coverage kind of gives me a little excited about what Mike Macdonald is cooking up back there. When you're kind of worried about like potentially your best pass rusher dropping into coverage instead of going after the quarterback, but you got to throw little wrinkles in there every once in a while to throw potential offensive coordinators off.
Yeah, and with it being the preseason, week one of the preseason, I think he's just trying to figure out what these guys look at like with game speed and how he can sort of manipulate these guys around to give different looks. I'm kind of excited about it. I thought the defense, they only allowed 10 points the entire game. Again, I know I'm making a lot about preseason week one football, but how many teams did we see lose this weekend? I mean, like, I don't know. I thought that there were a lot of interesting wrinkles that were added to the defense. Travis Jones played a little bit. Yeah. He's being talked about really, really highly.
Yeah, he got a sack. It was a pretty athletic. He got a sack on Malik Willis, who obviously is pretty athletic. So that was pretty good. I was excited to see that.
Yeah,
he
for sure.
He was stuffing up the middle. Geno Stone looked really good.
My man.
He had a pick.
Yeah.
He had a couple of nice tackles. Man, our safeties are deep, man.
Deep.
Marcus Williams, Kyle Hamilton, Chuck Clark, Tony Jefferson, Geno Stone. I mean, is Brandon Stevens even going to be considered a safety anymore? Our second-year guy? He might be like a hybrid. Who knows what he's going to be, because we didn't see him play. I think he's been injured potentially. But yeah, our safeties are deep. It's crazy.
Yeah, the entire secondary, really. I feel more comfortable about the secondary than I did at this point last season. Sure. I think it's a real strength on our team. And it really, I thought it showed last night. Even like Darryl Worley getting a pick. Do you know how good that feels? Pepe almost getting a pick. These are guys who are not going to be regular starters on this team. Like, assuming Marcus Peters comes back from injury and everything's okay with that, I'll be honest with you, like maybe some of these guys are on the hot seat. Like maybe Marcus Peters, who's only getting older. If some of these guys continue balling out, I'm not saying that his roster spot is going to be taken, but what I am saying is in a couple of years, if the Ravens reassess to open up cap space, is Marcus Peters one of these guys that like maybe we consider a little extra given some of the talent we had? That might be a little like, that's like way off in the future. That's probably a couple years down the road. But it's promising to see a lot of these corners and a lot of these safeties like really balling out.
For me, it's more, our coaching staff is able to coach up backups to win, it's a winning culture. You're building a winning culture. You're teaching your young guys what a winning culture is like and what it takes to win games in the NFL. It's not like we're playing our starters against backups. I mean, none of our starters really played. So, yeah, I mean, you play to win. Winning's fun, so play to win.
One other shout out I have before we move on to some news. Jordan Stout, the new punter.
Yes.
Like what I saw. He's got a huge leg, dude. Humongous. I get it. I get why they drafted the guy. I thought he played really great too. He had a lot of punts inside the 5. Maybe if some of the recovery, like the tackling after the catch was a little bit better. Because there was a punt. I think he got it inside the 5, and the returner got it out past the 20. But I mean, I'm telling you, I thought that he played a really great game too, honestly. And they were making a big deal about Jordan Stout holding for Justin Tucker. Obviously, they have a more chemistry than maybe we thought because Justin Tucker was perfect.
Yep. Yeah, no, I was really excited to see how that went with the holding. He made 2 decent length field goals. The hold looked good. Did you notice that? I don't know if it's going to be a permanent thing, but Jordan Stout was doing the kickoffs.
I did notice that.
Justin Tucker was resting for kickoffs. I don't know if it's like a permanent thing or they just want to see. Because I mean, I can only imagine that Justin Tucker. My worry is that Justin Tucker, that throws Justin Tucker's like just whole game flow off if he's not kicking kickoffs. Does that put him in a funk? Like he's already the best kicker ever. Why mess with his routine of being the kickoff guy? Maybe that keeps him fresh throughout the game, making like him doing kickoffs.
So he's 32 years old. He just got a massive contract because you can't have Justin Tucker be paid less than Chris Boswell. Chris Boswell got no offense to Chris Boswell. Well, kind of. I mean, Justin Tucker's better. But I think him getting up there in age, he's 32, so he's still kind of in his prime. But it would be nice. I think it's okay for him to just focus on getting 3 points. I don't mind if he doesn't do kickoffs. I mean, because the overall goal and the end result of that anyways, it's going to be a touchback. I like in an ideal situation, right? So if Jordan Stout is consistent, because that's really what kicking is all about. It's like consistency, right? If he's consistently putting the ball in the back of the end zone on kickoffs, I don't really have a problem with it. I think it's kind of nice. It kind of saves Justin Tucker's leg to make big kicks if we need him to. He's such an important part of our offense, and then God forbid, he gets a kick and then he's got to be forced to make a tackle because some guy got loose and our kickoff return team doesn't cover it well. Then what do you have? You have Justin Tucker running after a guy. Like, I don't know.
Hey, it's worked for 10 years.
No, I'm not exactly. I'm not saying that. Yeah, either way, I think it's fine. I don't mind Jordan Stout though booming the ball into the end zone. I don't mind him trying to get touchbacks. I think it's good, and it's probably going to happen sooner or later than anyway, right? I mean, like I said, Justin Tucker, he's 32 years old.
Justin Tucker's going to be kicking in his 40s.
I get it. Oh yeah, he will definitely be kicking into his 40s, but limit his workload right now. You just paid him a boatload of money. You don't want him to get hurt any more than he needs to.
It
He's
makes
such an
sense.
important part of the offense. I liked it. I thought it was kind of interesting. And who knows? Maybe when the start of the season happens, that gets reverted back. Maybe that's just something that they're taking a look at on special teams if they really like Jordan Stout. Like, and it seems like they do. Like I said, he looked great punting the ball. Whatever him.
They drafted him in the 4th round. They better like him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so I don't know. I think that could be. I think it could be interesting. That's all I'm going to say on that. I think I don't really have a problem with it, and that might be, like I said, that might be one of those things that we see in the preseason, and then fast forward to week 1. Maybe Justin Tucker's retaken that role and they're just trying to test it out. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, but it was interesting either way. Speaking of week 1, are we playing against Joe Flacco?
I hope so. Dude, I hope Joe tears our defense up.
Why? What? What?
But just not. I mean, I hope Lamar tears the Jets up more. I hope it's like a 40-39 game.
Oh my God, shootout in week 1? That would not make me feel good.
I would love to see Joe just fucking kill it.
How old is he now? 38?
I don't know.
He's up there. I think he's like 37 or 38 years old.
I mean, he's young. He's young. I mean, he's young for a quarterback.
Well, his arm wouldn't indicate that he's young for a quarterback. Dude, check down Charlie over there.
Have you heard the camp talk?
Mm-mm.
Joe Flacco was throwing bombs in Jets practice.
Yeah, because he's had 3 months of rest. He's had a nice recovery period. He's throwing bombs because wait until week 10, week 11, week 12. He's going to be back to doing checkdowns. Wait till week 5. He'll be back to doing checkdowns.
I'm glad.
He's throwing bombs. He had 3 months off.
I'm excited about it. I'm being generally, I mean, obviously I want us to win the game, but I would not mind seeing Joe Flacco play well.
And that's going to be at home, or is it? Are we in New York?
It's going to be in New York.
It's going to be in New York. Interesting. That's very interesting. I'm excited to see it too. I actually, every time I see Joe Flacco strap up as a backup, I get kind of like nostalgic feelings. It's like, it's sort of the guy that, I mean, he led our team to a Super Bowl. He had one of the hottest postseason streaks you can't get any hotter than Joe Flacco did in 2013. Like, and that's just from like a historic perspective. And you got to give him credit for that. I just don't like how things transpired after that point. You know, he put us in cap hell for a few years with his gigantic contract, which I guess he earned it. He got a Vince Lombardi trophy to Baltimore.
Yeah.
But then after that, I don't know. A lot of check down. And Joe Flacco didn't pass up on a check down he didn't like.
We got rid of Anquan Bolden.
Yeah.
Dennis Pitta, hip injury. That was crazy. Yeah, a lot of things went not ideal after the Super Bowl win, but
sure.
Hey, we got that Super Bowl win.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not ripping it at all. And it will be exciting to see if Zach Wilson is not 100% ready to go.
Yeah, he's not going to play. It's going to be Joe Flacco. There's no way they're going to rush. They said 2 to 4 weeks.
They're going to sit him.
Joe Flacco is looking good in training camp. They're not in any rush to. You got to think. I don't know. I don't know why, but I have a feeling that what's his name? Zach Wilson might be one of those busts potentially. And being in that New York environment, they probably were hoping something happened. I'm not going to say they were hoping for him to get hurt, but because they were talking up their head coach was talking up Joe Flacco in one of the interviews. He was like, yeah, Joe should be a starter somewhere. And then the next week, Zach Wilson gets injured, non-contact, and now Joe Flacco is potentially their number one, their starting QB for the week 1.
I don't know.
Joe's going to surprise a lot of people, and Zach Wilson was going to what do you call it?
Perform.
underwhelm in his, so
Well, look, tough to start off your season against Baltimore, right? But they've kind of brought in a lot of guys to help Zach Wilson out,
they did,
right?
they
I
did.
mean, they drafted who is that guy? That Garrett Wilson. They drafted him. I'm not ready to call him a bust yet.
I'm not saying he is now. I'm just saying I have a feeling it's gonna go that way.
He didn't
look
hard, man. He's got the coach, Robert Salah, up there with the Jets. I mean, we saw what he did with the 49ers on defense. I thought he was a pretty promising coach. It's hard to turn around but people are speaking really highly of the Jets. They had a good offseason this offseason. I agree. I don't think he'll play week 1. I think they'll sit him until they're 100% confident, ready to go. And Joe Flacco is definitely going to start, which is sort of like an interesting side plot for week 1 already. Like an interesting little storyline is developing there. But I'm not ready to call him a bust just yet. It's hard for me. I would like to see what he does with this team around him this year.
Let me clarify. I'm not calling him a bust yet. I just have a feeling things are trending that way.
Yeah.
Just have a feeling. I mean, they played a lot better with their backup quarterbacks last year than when he was out. They played better without him. There's a lot of talks in training camp that Joe Flacco is playing better. I don't know. Just has that feeling about it. He had that weird rumors going on in July, distraction room. Did you hear anything about that?
Talking about busting.
Exactly. So it's just fun. I don't know. And it's the Jet. The Jets the Jets are the Jets.
You know what it reminded me of? Do you remember? You remember American Pie when the guy hooks up with Stifler's mom in the basement?
Yeah.
In the pool room. I just imagined Zach Wilson. I just replaced his face, and it made me laugh for like 5 minutes. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Hey, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe guys like that in the locker room. They're like, oh, he's a little bit of a down. Look at him go. I don't know, but we're going to see Joe Flacco week 1, I think. I'm excited to see it.
I think it's pretty likely, and I'm excited about it.